say we could probably get started then.
Yeah.
Again, hello everyone. You're very welcome. I see a lot of new people as well joining in. So I'm Claire. I'm the community manager. You'll often see me posting a lot of the announcements and updates and in and around the chat every now and again as well. Yeah. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves as well for people who don't know you?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. I'm Jon-Paul at Free Range Games. I'm the game director.
Hi, folks. I'm Bradley Fulton. I'm the art director on Return to Moria.
Yeah, so it is a smaller group. Sometimes we have Ryan and other people joining us, but just the three of us this week, which is I think we'll have more than enough to talk about though, because there's a lot of exciting news. But before we get started into talking about Durin's folk and how you guys got on at Comic-Con, we have some news about the Beorn DLC, and we wanted to chat about that for a little bit. So, do you guys want to dive into that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing is when it's launching, which now I'm trying to remember the exact day. I know the week we were going to launch it. I should have asked this when we were prepping.
I can give you
August
the exact
11th,
date.
right? It's August
12th.
11th. 12th. Thank you.
Yeah. The week
What
of
would I do
August
without you,
11th. It's
Claire?
on the 12th.
Yes. I only think in Mondays, which is depressing. Anyway, yes, we are going to be, that makes it less than 2 weeks away from the Beorn content pack, which we're really excited about. And it's going to include a lot of what we're calling lodge themed stuff. So probably, most of the content packs we've done up to this point, for those of you who haven't been with us, the content packs are really meant to be small cost ways to have some new cosmetics, dress your character up, and little theme packs, just a couple little extra things, just to give everyone a little bit of new stuff every once in a while. This one is a little different in that it will have a new cosmetic outfit. But unlike the others where there've been either a new mechanic like the hunter pack or the int pack with some with the tree farming, this one is really centered around a whole new building set. And so I don't know if Bradley, you want to talk a little bit about I mean it's a lot. This isn't like just one or two new buildables. It's really like a whole legit set.
Yeah, our focus here was to dramatically expand the kinds of things you could build in wood. And use it as another opportunity to kind of touch on one of the cultures from wider Middle Earth. So it is heavily inspired by the men of the Vale of Anduin.
Mm-hmm.
And when we looked at the existing building parts, there were a lot of wood scaffoldings. There were a few different variations of wood floors. There were some wood stairs. The doors are made of wood, but especially when we look at things that the community has been building, through challenges on the Discord and those kinds of things, we'd see how players are having to improvise to come up with something like a roof, like a wooden roof. And also, we didn't have any like walls that were just entirely made of wood. And likewise with columns, like actual decorated columns. So what we've done is we've created a complete building kit. So it's including floors, walls, columns, beams now for the first time. So the ability to create like long horizontal wooden beams. It's another kind of structural detail that really helps out to make something feel complete. And then like a whole roof kit. So the end goal was to be able to build something where if you wanted to build, kind of like a longhouse, like a wooden longhouse, a very kind of traditional structure, complete with roof, you'd be able to do that. And then there's a couple different variations and sizes of columns. There's a lot of really, really cool decoration that our artist was able to do. And then there's one more also cosmetic variation on hearth. So in the existing game, the large hearth is a totally enclosed structure, but one of the things you would expect in a big long hall like this is you'd have a hearth like in the middle of the room that was open on all sides. So there's another large hearth that's kind of similar to the original one that you get early in the game, but now just like a larger, more fancy one. So yeah, really excited about it. I think just adding this whole chunk of stuff is going to unlock all kinds of new ideas and constructions. So that's the set, and then I could talk a little bit about the outfit. We also, another thing we wanted to do with these content packs and the cosmetics is have another look for players that isn't strictly like armor. We wanted to create something that felt a little more cozy, so that you could have your armor set. If you have mithril armor, you've completed the game. But you could redress yourself as this is like your home outfit. You're just hanging out in the base, but you're still fully protected. So I'm really kind of excited about how all this stuff came together.
Have we shown it? I don't know if we've shown the outfit. I think we've teased it. Is that right, Claire?
Like when there was the accidental content link. There's the belt buckle tease, and then the accidental content link had a dwarf standing in the doorway. It can kind of make it out.
Oh right, yeah, that's right.
I can
I'm just quickly looking to see if I've got an image of it. We could just toss it in the chat right now. I don't see any reason why we couldn't. And then we are going to do. We are planning on doing a short blog that shows everything off. Obviously, this is one of our first content packs that we're doing in parallel with getting the expansion going. So I've got an image, but it's kind of it doesn't have a dwarf in it. It's sort of just it in Maya. I don't know, Bradley, would that be weird to show? Who cares? Let's do it. All right, I'm going to post a little sneak preview image. This is just from our artist rendering of what it looks like. So we'll be doing a blog where we actually get a dwarf in there. It's not a ghost outfit. But I remember we teased off the belt buckle. So yeah, something that feels like you're coming home and you're doing your stuff around the house. Maybe you're prepping a nice meal and a brew.
I'm extremely excited for the fact that the boots are called slippers.
Yes,
because I think the idea of my dwarf shuffling around in their lodge in slippers in front of a cozy fire, I just love that. I think I run the risk of like never leaving my cozy lodge again. I mean, no one's going to know what happened to me. She fell into Moria, she got comfy, and that's it. But I think that's the Hobbit in me, just constantly wanting to be cozy.
That's true.
So
cozy is what you make of it. So that is that will be coming on August 12th, and that is one of our smaller DLC packs, which obviously is just the sort of appetizer to the big meal of the expansion. This one is actually going to be an interesting one. Just so everybody understands, there isn't going to be. This is the first pack that we haven't coincided it with a sort of largish bug fix pack, which I know is sort of what we've done in the past. This time it will simply turn on and be available. So you won't see a big download the day it comes out. So just in case you were wondering about that, and that's mostly because we are packaging all the big fixes in with the big expansion.
Like as an update that comes out alongside the expansion.
The expansion will have, and we can get into this, but the expansion will be essentially title update 6 along with the expansion will be at the same time. So there'll be a package of free fixes and things that are in and around for the free game for anybody that gets that patch, and then the expansion will be available on the same day.
Yeah, and then closer to release, as we've done in like with previous big releases as well, is that all release notes will have a clear separation as to what's what, so people will know what they would get in the expansion versus what we're releasing in the big update as well. And then just before I forget, for the Beorn DLC, we're going to have if people want a sneak preview. We're going to have some streamers on the top of our Steam store page the day before release and the day of release. So if you want a sneak peek at the kind of things that you can build, they'll be showing off some of the stuff. And I believe they actually might have some keys to give away as well. So if you join their chats and enter their competitions, you might get the DLC like about 24 hours early. So that's something exciting to look out for as well.
Yeah.
But I think that's
With that, should we move on and talk about our sort of the big event from the last week?
Yeah, go for it.
So, for those of you who saw, Bradley and I were at San Diego Comic-Con, which if you haven't been, this was my first time. Bradley's been going for a decade, so he was kind of my Sherpa. And it was funny watching him just sort of look on amusingly as every booth I went to was like, "Ooh, I need to buy this thing. I'm going to buy that thing." So it was. I love Lord of the Rings, but there's many other brands that I was just like, "Ooh, I like that, and buy it." And then I think the last day of Comic-Con, I was like, I need to actually buy some comics at Comic-Con. So I stacked it up. So that was the sort of fun being there. But the work part of it was, if you saw a few of the pictures, was we got to meet a lot of people that came by. So we did fan meetups of anybody that had or player meetups. And that was honestly probably the most fulfilling part. I know a lot of us in this chat love the game enough to sort of know that the game really kind of sings when you're with a group of friends. And we had multiple groups of friends, families that came by. I think there was one point there was a mom, a daughter, a son, and like the son's girlfriend, and they were like showing us their picture of them at the end of the game in their in-game gear, and that was really fun to talk to people and answer questions. And um yeah, I mean, so that was kind of the experience. And then obviously we talked at the panel and announced the expansion. We announced Durin's Folk and showed the video, and that was pretty awesome too. I mean, to be on stage with like Richard Taylor from Weta was I was like, oh man, this is really fun to have this little slice of Middle Earth that we're contributing to. I don't know, Bradley, you want to kind of talk about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was it's always very nourishing to meet people in person. Like we love doing this chat with y'all, but also just being able to get, the emotional response. And so I was delighted to have the chance to actually, share stories and shake hands and whatnot. It was really uplifting and encouraging experience. The Middle Earth booth tongue speaking. The Middle Earth booth, bit of a tongue twister, was also pretty fun. They recreated a little portion of the Prancing Pony, but they did it in Hobbit scale. So the counter was kind of up at eye height, and then they had a gentleman who was dressed up as Gandalf a few moments, but he was very tall, so he made you feel very small and
It was
Hobbit-like.
very tall.
Yeah. So we just hung out there at the booth and used that as an opportunity to meet people and shake hands and take pictures and stuff. It was overall a really fun experience.
That's awesome to be able to, like, because we always try to connect with the community as much as possible, and being able to like meet some of them in person must have been amazing. And unfortunately, it was like such last minute that, like, we know we announced it really late, but it was kind of like a last minute invite, which is really exciting. But it also meant that, like, obviously tickets for Comic-Con sell it like the year before. But yeah. Is that
Yeah.
Jed Brophy in one of those
That is
photos?
Jed Brophy. Jed Brophy was he was giving me the hard sell on why Nori would be alive in the Moria time frame. So we were talking about what to do, and I kind of nerded out and got an autograph picture with him. For those of you who don't know, that second picture, that's Jed Brophy, who is an actor, New Zealand actor who was Nori in the Hobbit movies. He was also a Nazgul and like 5 different orcs, and I think he's also in Rings of Power. And he's got this whole cool story. I think there's an interview that Nerd of the Rings has with him. So he's kind of a deep cut for Lord of the Rings fandom. And then the picture above, that's Richard Taylor from Weta. He also, I was sort of fanning out. And then you can also see that I trotted out I had to pick which of the 6 Lord of the Rings t-shirts in my collection to wear. So those are 2 of my my ones that I dug out and made sure they were washed and clean for Comic-Con.
I'm personally surprised you only have 6. I thought you would.
Oh
have
no,
more.
those are just the 6 I picked to take.
Oh, okay.
No, I probably have 2 weeks solid of just Middle Earth and Lord of the Rings solid outfits that I could wear.
Nice.
For anyone who's seen the videos in my background, this isn't like work stuff I bought when I started working on the game. These are maps and books and things I've had for many years. So
He left his wizard costume at home this time. It's impractical for the.
which you're not joking. That's what I was for Halloween last year, and I'm glad I didn't wear it, because the very tall Gandalf was like a true legit cosplayer. But yeah, it was a fun time. And then we should probably get to why everyone's sort of here, which is, we got to announce the expansion. So for anybody that has been in these chats and seen me do little eyeballs and maybes and hints, it was always kind of probably this entire year. It's been me just holding the desk tight, not saying something. But yes, the central theme of our paid story expansion is not just going to be taking the story beyond the end of the campaign, but now inviting more dwarves into Moria to help you rebuild it. And so the central theme is NPCs, and I think we're really excited to kind of talk about that, and we can hit points from the blog or hit whatever makes sense to talk about. So we're pretty excited. Yeah, it's and we're going to reveal some stuff. Well, we're going to talk about the stuff that's revealed in the blog now, but we've got some time between now and when it comes out, and so we'll do kind of what we did last summer and fall, which is, every couple weeks we'll put something up and do another Forge talk and talk about it. But I don't think we want to reveal everything today, because it'll make the trailer not as fun to watch when it comes out. But there's a lot more than what we just have in the blog.
It also means that, like, understandable people are going to have loads of questions about the expansion and all that sort of stuff. So unfortunately, there is a fair bit of stuff that we just can't talk about just yet, but it'll be worth it, we promise, when we start to reveal more. But yeah, so I think one of the big things from the blog is talking about, obviously, the NPCs confirming it. It's one of our most common, if not the most common, requested feature for the game. Like, people have often said that, like, hey, I took, might be slightly more mild spoilers from here on, because we are talking about stuff that happens after the end of the game.
Yeah, I'm kind of like dancing around. I don't want to spoil too much. I almost said, after X happens and Y happens, then you get to do this. So, I think we could probably talk about it without spoiling it. Other than suffice to say, if you're playing in campaign mode, there is a sort of natural end to the story, and then you can continue to play. And so our intention has always been, we wanted to get to where we were really comfortable with the base game, where we felt like it fulfilled the vision of the original base game, and then move into story that happens at that beyond that natural end point, and give you some more. And that's really what this expansion is. And so we feel like, and I said this at Comic-Con, which I don't know was recorded. They're sort of odd about that. But one of the things we talked about, what I talked about on the panel, was that, we've really spent what felt like a year and a half of, as many of you who've been in the community with us for a while, trying to read every support ticket, look over everything, pick our battles to what we could fix, get comfortable with the things that are just in the base game, and get to that point where we felt like, yes, the story campaign sandbox mode, we could work on for 10 years on continuing to improve that and make it better. And we wanted to pick the stuff that felt like the biggest lift that would really kind of deliver on what we had originally wanted to do back in 2023. And like I said, we could spend 2-3 more years just continuing to chip away at little things here and there, that because we see all the things that we'd love to improve as well. But we knew 2025 needed to be the year where we started to give you more beyond the end of the campaign, and that's where we landed on. Let's do another chapter of the story. Let's do the other thing that we always wanted, which was the NPCs. And then the last thing we mentioned in the blog is, for those of you who have a lot of stuff, what do you do with all that stuff? And so we're going to add in that essentially traders, in this case dwarven traders who trade with other peoples of Middle Earth, are going to show up outside the door, and they're going to buy that stuff off of you and have things that don't naturally occur in Moria that you can use. So that's going to be another sort of big feature. So NPCs that you recruit and bring in, and being able to have a kind of mild economy sim with a trading camp, and then more story. Those are sort of the big things.
Yeah, and I think oh, I'm sorry.
You go ahead.
I think one thing that is kind of implicit in that is that the the traders are showing up in the area outside the doors of Durin, and that will mean that you'll be able to go outside the mountain for the first time. So there's a couple of key exterior locations. I don't know that we want to necessarily spoil all that right now.
You're right on the edge.
But yeah, there's seeing the sky will be I think a fresh thing for people who've been trapped inside the mountain all this time. I'm really excited to be able to do that.
And we're going to the other thing that I think might be, just to head off one other question, is the entire expansion for people that have finished the campaign, and that we knew that would be something. We wanted to give you something that, even if you hadn't finished the campaign, would be really interesting and fun. And so there are some of the things that Bradley was just hinting at that will occur before the campaign ends. And then the other thing we'll throw in, which is that we wanted to make sure, right from the beginning, not right at the very beginning, but within the early game, you can actually find survivors of the initial explosion that got you trapped in Moria. You can find a small handful of those survivors throughout the campaign game, so that you'll be able to have NPCs throughout the whole campaign without even having to get all the way to the end to get to the sort of the bigger set of people. So that way, either if you wanted to start over and start collecting them as you go, or even for people that are not in this Discord that have never played the game and hopefully will buy it when the expansion comes out, they'll be able to feel like they've got sort of an ultimate edition right from the beginning.
I think that's something I've seen, like, people have been chatting about in the Discord since the blog went up and we confirmed that you'd be able to pick people up on your adventure. As people trying to decide, like, do I want to, like, I want to finish the campaign save that I have now, but when the expansion comes out, do I want to start again? But I also want to build with Beorn in the meantime, and just trying to make that decision. Like, as a gamer, I totally understand. Like, do I continue with New Game Plus, or do I want to stay in the save that I want? Is always really, really tough. But I think it's kind of, even though a lot of, like, the trading and other expansion bits are going to be once you get to the gate, essentially. It's still like
I was going to say,
everyone's choice.
Copy your save files, then you can do all of it. There is going to be some pretty meaty story that happens at the end of the campaign. So if you want day one to jump right in and start playing in that new bit of story, you'll want to have a save that is at the end of the campaign, at least. But this is going to be built so that whatever stage your save game is in, you'll be able to load the expansion up, and immediately have something new, whether you're midway through, at the beginning, or at the end. But we do not intend this to be something where you're going to have to start a new game, and we don't intend it to be something where you have to be at the end in order to experience it also. Oh, one quick clarification. You said New Game Plus. That was an example from other games. We feel like our game is about continuing to play in the world you have, so that's not a feature for us. Yeah. Oh, Claire, you went muted. I'll keep talking. No dead air. The radio rules. So let me see what the next. Let's see, what else have we not? I feel like we hit the big beats, so we should just probably talk a little bit more about each. Um, I don't want to get into stuff that we can't get into. Not can't,
Sorry
but
about that.
like I want to hold it. Yeah, that's okay.
My mouse
I was just
died and
trying
I
to think
couldn't
about
unmute
what.
myself.
Yeah, what we should. You were probably like, oh my god, where's the button? I'm trying to think. What I think I went too fast, Claire. We went through all the big stuff already in the blog. I don't know
I
if
was
you want to
supposed
do questions or you want to me and Bradley to sort of vamp a little bit more about different things.
Yeah, well, I also know that we have a slightly shorter Forge talk, because I know like you guys have a very, very busy schedule because you're all heading towards the expansion and
Yeah.
stuff. One of the things that was in the blog that I don't think we've mentioned yet was we mentioned the number of NPCs that you'd be able to pick up and the fact that they're from every clan, because obviously everyone is answering Gimli's
Yes.
call and that sort of thing as well. So I don't know if you want to talk about the different clans or the
Yeah,
number
and
of
the
dwarves.
number, what one of the reasons why we wanted to mention the number right up front is just to kind of set a sense of scale. Um, throughout it's going to be a small handful while you're playing the campaign, and then afterwards you'll grow into that number of 20. But the story we're telling is this is immediately after, and this would be the sort of first steps back into. And so we wanted to set that so that players understood the sort of story we're telling is who are the intrepid first dwarves that are like, yeah, I'm in, let's go. It's almost like a frontier town that is forming. um Mainly we wanted to also do that because you could just close your eyes and say, man, NPCs, and you could imagine it's 5 companions. You could imagine it's 200 in an entire city. And so we wanted to just right ahead say the story we're telling is this is that small group of brave dwarves that are beginning the process, and that leaves us room to keep building on the story of Moria.
Yeah, and I think another angle on that is that we wanted to stay true to what the game currently is, and one of those things is the fact that you stay, you inhabit the dwarf, that your avatar. So everything you see, every way that you interface with the world is through your character interacting with things directly. So the game, it doesn't, when you're interacting with NPCs, we wanted to keep things down at the dwarf level, and you're talking to them face to face. You're directing them, or giving them jobs or whatever directly and face to face. And there's kind of a limit on there's just a practical limit on how big your community can be when you're doing things at that scale. So we're not it's not like you're suddenly zoomed out and you're managing a whole colony. That starts to change into just a different kind of experience. We wanted to stay true to what we had already made, and then also staying within kind of the setting that we've created, in that this is like Jon-Paul was just saying, this is just the very beginnings of the rebirth of Khazad-dûm.
Yeah, we also wanted to be very sensitive to some of our elder players with the mega builds. We didn't want their frame rate to go too low. Every we were worried about burning people's machines by dropping your frame rate too low. But yeah, and one of the ways that we conceived of the NPCs is we actually did a few exercises by going to um, people's, some of the contests we've had and some of the channels here where people sort of post their big worlds. We've kind of grabbed those screenshots, those videos, and just sort of got in a room and looked at it and said, all right, what if you had this exact build? Where are all the dwarves standing? What are they doing? Are they drinking? Are they eating? Are they working? are they autonomous? Are you ordering them around? And those are all sort of the design considerations that we had, but we absolutely wanted to think of it as, what if you could just snap your fingers and Davy's mega base or anybody in Merrick's mega base just had dwarves in it, that were walking around and you were helping and talking to, and that's really kind of where we wanted to conceive of it. And I think, Bradley, the thing that we also looked at is there was a couple of people in the contests. Claire, you probably remember this when did we do that big building contest? I think it was the end of last year.
So it was towards the end of last year, yeah.
A couple of the winners had like a tavern. Like one of the winners in particular, I remember, had a tavern, and they had put a lot of the mannequins, the armor stands, in the places where a dwarf would be standing behind a bar or in a tavern or hanging out. And Bradley and I were looking at it, was like, man, this person really wants some dwarves here. Like, they are playing house real hard here. And so that was where we were like, okay, well, let's not just give you a small handful. Let's make sure you can make a little tavern, and watch it. So that's really kind of, I think, where the conception of, okay, how big is too big? You go too big and it becomes, like Bradley said, a big sort of city sim. You go too small and it feels like you're playing an RPG campaign. And so we wanted something in between that really hit the story we wanted.
Yeah, I think a recurring theme, when we see things that players have made is all the sort of headcanon that gets generated and all the personal, like, intimate little stories, and that this is the tavern of so and so, and then this is dwarves come into Moria and they put down their packs here and they get a brew, but it's that very intimate kind of level and that sort of intimate relationship with the things that players are building. And so we really tried to design something that fits that scale.
I just dropped a link into the build awards that you
yeah.
guys were referencing. So, because I'd say there's probably a fair few new players since then. So, if anyone wants to have a look at the kind of things that people were building back at the end of last year.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's probably the big stuff that we're ready to talk about now. I mean, I don't want to bury the lead too much, which is, man, we are so excited and thankful that this community has rallied around us over the last 2 years. And in some ways, this expansion is the natural thing we wanted to do to keep fulfilling the vision and the promise, but also a thank you to everybody. And yeah, I don't think we'd still be alive. Not alive. I don't think the game would still be getting updates and moving forward without this community. And so there's hopefully a lot of little thank yous buried in this expansion.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. As you said, like we've got loads more stuff to reveal between now and when the expansion comes out. I know people have loads of questions, even like, a more refined release date or even like
Yes.
an estimated price and that sort of thing. And that stuff is coming. We will give you plenty of notice, we promise. But there is, like, we have to let you know over time, unfortunately. I'm sure we probably would like to just dump everything now, but then you'll be waiting for so long.
And we'll do a full trailer that'll show more stuff off. We'll do some more blogs, and timed in with that will be an exact release. I know there's a lot of questions about price. Those things will come out as we get a little bit closer. So it's somewhere between soon and a little beyond soon. It's
soon. TM.
Thank you. My brain did not give me the word beyond soon. So we probably have a little bit of time for some questions too. Oh, sorry, Claire, I cut you off.
No, you're all right. I just spotted that Oshin has shared the Beorn's Lodge DLC. The store page is now up. I hadn't realized it had actually gone up. So you can wishlist it now, and it has the release date there as well. So it is coming to all platforms, just so people know. And it's the same with the expansion. At the moment, we only have the wishlist page for Steam up, but we will be getting more store pages up over time, and it is releasing across the board at the same time. That's always the plan. We like to keep everything in parity with each other, especially if we have crossplay and multiplayer, because we don't want to mess with people's saves like that.
Yeah, and that's
So
I know I saw in the chat there's a question about, the Steam wishlist page for the expansion for Durin's Folk is up. We'll be getting those up for the other platforms. It's definitely coming day and date. Durin's Folk will be day and date with all the platforms we're currently live on, and it will support dedicated servers when it all comes out. It's just right now the Steam page is the one that's up.
yeah, I'll grab that link as well because I forgot to share it earlier, just in case anyone wants to toss it on their wish list now. And that's also like, even if you're not playing on Steam, the Steam wish list can be great because as soon as it goes live, then you can get a notification as well. I don't know how other platforms work with notifications. I'm sure it's all the same across the board.
Yeah, every platform's sort of pre-release stuff is just a little different. So our friends at North Beach we're working through that. Okay, well, do
Yeah.
you want to do a couple minutes of questions if there's any?
Yeah. The tricky thing is that I'm trying to pick stuff that I know we can answer.
You don't want me to be like,
Um,
can't say that, can't say that, can't
yeah,
say
I
that.
know. It's like, oh, I'll say that later. I'll say that later. Oh, there's quite a few people asking about the bear plaque being a freestanding buildable item. It's not in the Beorn DLC, but we have heard people's feedback about that. And as always, if you have any feedback about the game, please do send it our way. But just to let you guys know, the actual list of all of the contents for the Beorn pack should be on the store page, but also when we had the accidental leak like a month or so ago, we listed all of the contents on the dev updates channel. And I'll just go into each individual build item, but you can get a good expectation of the stuff that's there as well.
I think with the Beorn pack, and just to get ahead of I see some of the chat. When we made the Beorn pack, the focus was on the wood building set, and like sort of the fireside and honey and the bear out, like the outfit. I think we probably went a little nuanced and subtle with the bear theming. And then when we announced it, just the avalanche of, I want this, like how many bear themed things people would be excited about. And we're like, oh man. So I think there is an opportunity for us to slide some more less nuanced bear stuff, but the next big update after this will be the expansion. So I think along with that update, we might be able to slide a couple more bear themed things in based on everybody's reaction to the kit.
I think like it's I suppose a good complaint in a way that people are like so enthusiastic about it that they're looking for specific items and stuff. And yeah, well, obviously, like it's a kind of we'll see what we can do. Probably don't want to make too many like straight up promises at this stage, but we'll obviously like keep people updated with all the different releases as we're getting closer and closer as well. I'm just scanning through chat. Someone's asking will you bundle all the DLCs together when the expansion comes out. As far as I know, there is currently a bundle available, and I imagine stuff will just be added to that bundle then as well.
We can double check on that. That's a question for MBG community. Would have a good answer for that one.
That's a publisher question.
I think someone mentioned the word season pass. We're not really doing anything quite like that, but I think there is going to be a bundle. Yeah.
And I think you should keep an eye out for any of our sales as well, because when the main game goes on sale, usually a lot of our DLC goes on sale in a bundle as well.
Yeah. Seeing questions about traveling merchants. The trading camp that we're talking about with the expansion is essentially traveling merchants.
Did you guys find
They're not allowed inside? It's too dangerous inside. Got to go outside.
Well, as anyone who's played the game knows, when rocks fall on your head, it's very painful. So, did you guys find that the the changing, I guess, because there is a slight change in the economy, and then also in the player experience as well. Like obviously, I don't need to go into too much of the details, but the adding in of NPCs, was that challenging in a game design perspective?
Yeah, I think that finding the balance between what will the NPCs do? You know, because there is a game playing aspect of, are they useful, or are they just mouths to feed and people I can dress up and say just stand there and wear my old stuff, um, or um, or do they do something functional? And we felt like dwarves would do something, and so what we wanted to do was create mechanics that allowed them to fulfill a certain role within a new community. But that would mean we also needed some new mechanics for what the output of what they did was. So from a game economy standpoint, we essentially knew they were going to start generating some stuff, and we needed a place for you to do with that stuff. And I think there's only so many weapons and building parts we can add in, and so that's partly where the trading camp comes, and there's going to be a bit of story with that too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I think
I
it's
think
also
And yeah,
it's
they're going to have to eat and drink. Absolutely.
yeah.
Go ahead, Brad.
I also, trading the trading camp also, it's built into that is the idea that you're communicating with other people in Middle Earth, and we're real excited about the opportunity to like actually feel like this location now is tied into other parts of the world. So there's some of that theming will be there in those the traders.
Yeah, I really like the idea that they're coming from the different dwarf clans as well, that everyone's coming together, because obviously this kind of like, what do you call it, like ancestral home of the dwarves in Khazad-dûm is important to everyone really, especially after it was lost. So having that kind of sense of community, like the amazing, it's going to sound really corny, but the amazing community we have here, like bleeding into the game and having that same vibe come through,
Yeah.
I think is fantastic. I'm really excited anyway. I'm looking forward to making friends outside of real life friends in the game.
Yeah.
I know that's something that a lot of people have said, that once they got to the end of the game, they're like, cool, like can other people come in now? And for ages I was like, oh, I can't say anything. And now they can. Hey.
I love
Um,
looking at the chat also in these, because as always we have there's things that I'm like, oh no, we probably didn't already do that, and then I see some other ideas and I'm like, oh, that's a good idea, we better go shove that into the scope. So um yeah,
yeah.
there's
Meanwhile, I'm
in
looking
fact
at
I'm
questions
taking
going,
a
can't talk about that. Yeah, can't
yeah
talk about that. Yeah. Yeah.
meanwhile in the chat I'm screenshotting stuff and DMing Bradley on the side, like, ooh, we should do that, we should do this, that's a good idea. And like with always, like with any expansion, as you guys know, we always try to do everything cool that we can think of, and we see an idea, we want to do it, and sometimes there's constraints, and we're like, oh man, that's going to be, I wish we could do the X, but we probably won't have time to really pull it off at quality, and we got to focus over here. And a lot of you guys know that we're kind of a small team, so I want to get everything in. I think Bradley knows this, as we were just looking over our scope and our deadlines, like, oh, but we need to do this. So there's always going to be more we want to do. I think there were a couple of questions about future stuff, and I think, as always, how this does, it could really open doors to do more. So
I think you've said in the past as well, like a combination of like reading the chat, reading the feedback tickets, and then even playing games yourselves can be really dangerous because there's like so many good ideas that can come through that, yeah, that's, I don't envy your choice to have to
yeah.
decide what you go with and what has to stay behind even for a bit.
Yeah, and some of that is we've never really been a team that feels like we have all the answers, that we know what everybody wants or should have. And so I love reading through the Discord, and we talk about, like, we read everything in Discord, and some of that is, yes, we want to show up for the community and show people that we're here, and but also some of it is y'all have some ideas that I just would not have thought of. And I immediately go, that's a good idea. Let's see if we can figure that out. And so I know that there are probably some creator communities where it sort of feels like it's like, here you go, this is what we said to give you. But in many ways, we love you guys' ideas. They're tangential, and they're from a point of view that we don't always have as developers. You know, Bradley and I, we're coming up on, I think we're just a few months shy of working on this for 5 years. And so, you know, we've been deep in the mines for a long time, and it can be real easy to sort of end up with just the ideas you've always had. And every once in a while, you just need that kind of like kick to the head of like, oh no, you know, maybe we should do some more bear stuff. Let's figure it out. How can we do
Mhm.
that? So
Yeah, I think it also really helps that the community is like dwarven enthusiasts, like this kind of like survival crafting game enthusiasts, and Lord of the Rings enthusiasts as well. So a lot of the suggestions that do come through can really be grounded in the lore and the world already, which makes it probably so much easier to go, yeah, no, that is a good idea. Like people know this
yeah,
game so well and the world that it's in as well, which is fantastic. And I know you guys are all Lord of the Rings super fans as well, so
yeah.
it's a
And
great,
we
good
you know,
mix.
we like the game we made. And so
Mhm.
you know, sometimes we do these and I look at them and I'm like, man, I want that so bad too. And you go like, you know, like musical instruments, or you know, the war song, or goats, or like all these things that we're like, man, I really want to do that, but we gotta, you know, once you pick something like NPCs, that's not a simple thing to execute well. And so I think there were versions of this expansion design early on that were kind of the best, you know, the best selling list of things that everybody wants. And ultimately we have to make, part of our job is making the decision of we need to do it well, or as well as we can. And so sometimes that means we have to make some choices. So I think the hard thing is when I have to say things like, this expansion isn't going to have the goat, but I don't know, maybe 26 is the year of the goat. We want to get there. And I think, you know, the cool thing is that the tech behind NPCs will enable us to eventually do something like domestication, but trying to
Mm.
do domestication and NPCs at the same time, along with something like a follower NPC, even if it's as cagey as a goat. Um, you know, we have prototypes, but we felt like to do it right, um, we didn't want to do a half-ass version of the goat. So I think that's where I'll put. I know that's not exciting. Everybody kind of wants the goat, and there's even a goat emoji, and some of the Mootsack know I have PTSD from the goat, because the goat was a thing I pushed the team on really hard a couple of years ago. Come on, let's do this. This is a cool thing. And then we put it in the art book when we realized we couldn't do it. So I feel like I'm haunted. I'm haunted by not being able to get the goat out quite yet. But
You just
we
hear
want to get
goats
there.
screaming in the middle of the night. Ooh.
Oh my god. Yeah. Oh, that the second Thor, or the Thor movie, when the goat started screaming, I was like, oh, goats. But we we want to get there. We love the goat. It's not going to be in this expansion. I know that is not news everybody wants, but trust us when we say we love the goat idea as much as everybody else, and we want to get there. And as soon as we feel like we can do the goat at quality, we'll do it. But it's not in the cards this year. I'm sorry,
Um,
guys. Oh God, that
right.
hurts to say. Oh,
Well, I suppose on that note, because we did say we would wrap
oh,
up
we got to end on
slightly
a
early.
positive note. A question that's
Uh,
nice. Let's we can't leave on the like, here's all the cool toys we're about to give you, but not that one toy. So
um,
I think I don't know. I think it's going to be fun when you eventually get all your NPCs together and you get to that max, and you have some NPCs that are mining ore and bringing it over and depositing it, and then another NPC is turning it into ingots, and then another NPC is grabbing it and using it to build a large scale monument. You know, I think that, and then another one is taking that stuff and making, you know, crates and crates of swords to sell to the army of Gundabad, the army that's fighting Gundabad. So I think there's going to be some neat things. I can't wait to see, like, if the people made crazy big buildings, I can't wait to see the sort of economy chains they end up putting together, and
Especially
there's
because people have
lot
so
of
much
different.
stuff now.
Yeah, I know. Well, we're going to drain that pretty fast, I think. Once the rest of Middle Earth finds out Moria is open for business, I think you start getting some knocks on the door.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when they hear about the nice is it Minas Tirith were the gates that they built?
Well,
Or
that
is
was
that
the original. I mean, that's a deep cut back to late 2020. That was the original pitch to the game, which
oh
was Gimli promised. We believe you see in the appendix. Professor Tolkien talks about a group of dwarves went and rebuilt Minas Tirith, and in particular the Mithril Gate. And so, because Mithril isn't only in Moria, it actually occurred in Numenor also.
oh
So
didn't know that.
that's another lore deep cut that now I'm like, oh, I better have triple checked that before I said it. But that was the original pitch to the game. Is we bet Gimli made a bold, boasting promise. We'll rebuild to Aragorn. We'll rebuild the gate with Mithril, and then realized I need some Mithril, so we better go back to Moria. That was kind of the original elevator pitch for the whole game. And so here we are five years later, finally starting to get to tell a little bit of that story.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Awesome. On that positive note,
Yes, thank you.
we should probably wrap up because I know you guys have a very busy schedule and you have meetings
Yep.
to get to and all that sort of stuff. So thank you for taking the time to come and chat with us. Because I know you're still up to your eyeballs in expansion and making sure everything gets out and is you check everything off your list and all that sort of stuff. So really appreciate it, and telling us about your adventures at Comic-Con. I'm very jealous. I've never been, so maybe someday. We'll see.
I think it's worth going at least once. It was pretty fun.
Yeah,
I went to
everyone needs
Gamescom
to
last
do it.
year, and that's been my biggest so far. So
Oh, well, Gamescom is that's like taking the Game Developers Conference, Comic-Con, and Gen Con and throwing it an E3 and throwing it all into one place. The Gamescom
okay.
it probably felt like 4 times more intense than Comic-Con. So
Yeah.
Gamescom is insane.
Oh, okay. So everything should be a walk in the park then afterwards, because I walked through
Oh yeah, you're
Gamescom
gonna
and
be
went,
like, where
"Oh
are all
no!"
the people?
I ran back to my booth very quickly.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I've got to run. So thanks everybody. Thanks again. And we're going to have so many more things to tease and talk about throughout the next few months.
Yeah, and keep an eye out for more Forge Talk announcements and stuff popping up in dev updates and all that sort of stuff. We'll be sharing stuff soon. Thank you all for joining us.
All right. Thanks
All right,
everybody.
thanks everyone.
Bye.
Bye.